and welcome to the epilogue of the album share concept or experiment. Well, that's the end of the house experiment. In case you missed it, the house share album was a look at the urban myth that I've been hearing since the 90s. You may have, if you're a raver, you're into this. Certainly back in the 80s with acid house started, and as the illegal raves went on and got into the news, many people used to think it wasn't music, that EDM dance music isn't music and anyone can make it because you don't need to know how to play an instrument. And this used to go on because don't forget, we came from basically guitar based bands, and then the 80s came along. And you started getting synthesizers, and you've got that 80s pop sound. Some of it was all right, but I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of some of that 80s pop sound. I know I use some of the drum machines and things from then, like the Roland 909. I've just started using the 606 as well at the moment, and they're all right. There's some, I don't know if it's the CR78. I don't know what is stuff. I genuinely just new to all of this. I just like the music that I hear, but there's these certain Roland drum machines that when you hear them, you'll know. Like Miami Sound Machine, their sort of music. That was a 727. Oh my God, I'm like a train spotter. Yeah, so it was a 727, I believe, with a special fuse that makes it sound like that. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not that keen on that. I have to admit, I pretty much like the 90s sound of stuff, which is pretty much what I try to recreate. So EDM dance music is easy to make. That's the myth. So I decided to have a go at this. I used to go out raving. Pretty much. There was a 10-year stretch. I suppose it was. There was a 10-year stretch where pretty much I was out at some rave or other from Thursday night to Sunday night. Used to go straight into work, sometimes from a rave. That's the power of youth and belief, I think. And the fact that you didn't have any responsibilities. So yeah, for about 10 years that was solid. And then once the criminal justice bill, or act as it were, then came in and changed everything, moved back into clubs. I did a bit of DJing back in the day, nothing special. Wasn't special, it was all just about doing the parties. I did a few things on pirate radio. It was just fun. Everyone was a bleeding DJ back then. But I did producing. We put on a few raves. We even did some where we raised money for incubators for children in hospitals. Yeah, I know, I'm a saint. We liked doing that, but we also thought that we'd get less trouble from the old bill if we were raising money for things. So, swings and roundabouts. But we did. We raised a lot of money. We bought quite a few of those bloody things. So, we didn't have to do that. Anyway, this myth used to hear this from the old boys or the rockers or the indies or whatever. It's rubbish, it's all electronic, it's anyone can do it, the computer does it. So I thought, I got to a point where I had some time on my hands. I saved up a little bit of money and bought a computer that can, to be fair, I should have just spent a little bit more because it does struggle the more I try to use synthesizers on the computer. So this was what held me back in the day. If you bought equipment back then, you needed to have a lot of stuff that lived outside of the computer because computer power, it couldn't handle the polyphonic sounds. So, polyphonic means lots of phonics. So if you think about it, a computer trying to create all these different sound levels, so if you've got reverb and echo, that's like repeating things on top of something it's already repeating. So the equipment had to be quite robust to do it. So they used to have lots of boxes outside, in racks that you twiddled knobs on, and it did stuff. So it was quite complicated. So now we use DAWs, so digital audio workstation, I think it stands for. It's just a piece of software. You might have seen something. Nowadays everyone's a a TV studio, aren't they? With the phones we've got now, you probably can create some tunes or something on your phone. So so that's a door, basically. Not a door that you walk through, a door. Like if I was from Southern America, I'd probably be able to say that a bit better. But it's a piece of software on the computer that lets you put in MIDI. Again, see, I've learned all this. I didn't know anything about 2 years ago. So MIDI is like a space on a music sheet, if you like, and you can assign a sound to that space, to that MIDI. And if you assign a drum, it's a drum. And then you think, oh, I don't want that to be a drum, I'll make it a piano. And you can choose a piano, and now those notes or those spaces become a piano. So so you play with MIDI and you play with audio. It just goes on and on. Already, I think I'm showing you the answer to the experiment. Can an idiot like me with no musical understanding create a dance song? Well, this idea hasn't gone away, really, with some people, because you often have famous EDM dance music producers saying when they started, when they're being interviewed, they say things like, well, I didn't know anything about music when I started. I didn't do well in music class, or I don't play an instrument, and there's someone famous like Dead Mouse or Avicii or someone, and they've made some beautiful things. I mean, they really are nice. So you hear this all the time. You think, well, blimey, if they can do it, I'm going to have a go. So over the years, I had a little bit of a potter about, but I'm not a rich person in the sense. Yeah, I'm rich, I've got my health, but I mean, I haven't got money to spend on frivolous things, and I'm not a talented person. I have no talent for anything. I can barely walk and talk at the same time. But it's always stuck in my head, this myth. So in 2025, I had saved up a bit of money and I needed to buy a new computer, so I bought a Mac Mini and I decided to buy a DAW, so I bought Logic Pro. So as I said, in 2025 I started the journey of discovery to see if the myth was real. Could an idiot like me make dance music when he knows nothing about music? And I say I know nothing about music. I knew that music's got notes and chords and a tempo. That's pretty much it. I bought this computer and I had to do something because I'm getting on now, and most of my friends have moved on and got married and had children. They don't want to go out raving anymore, and it's harder to get up for work after a weekend of raving now. As you're getting older, you're getting a bit sketchy there now, trying to turn up without much sleep. It's all died off a bit, so I still wanted to do something, so I started trying to see if I could make dance music. I thought, let's see if this myth is true. So Urban Shark was reborn. Urban Shark was the name I DJ'd under in the 90s. I thought it was quite a cool name. I mean, let's be fair, it sounds more like an outdoor clothing company for surfing or something. But we didn't really care. It was more of a thing because we had flyers back then. There wasn't the internet, so people put names and things on flyers, and you certainly didn't want your name on something that was effectively illegal. You're putting on a party and this is my name and where I live. It's like, no. So you came up with names. I mean, I didn't like MCs. Halfway through the 90s, you'd have MCs standing up next to DJs spoiling the mixes. I couldn't stand it, so I used to sometimes DJ under the name of Fauntleroy Smythe, because I thought, let's see an MC rhyme that with Move Your Feet to the Beat. If you don't know what an MC was and you've never seen one at a rave, then you are blessed, because I don't think I ever saw one that ever made the mix good. I mean, most of the time they were off their face and weren't even in time or whatever. Oh, and it was just as bad. You'd sometimes get bongo players playing along. And don't get me started on the bloody fire eaters and jugglers that they used to turn up at these raves. Good God. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Urban Shark. The rambling continues. I see. I mean, this is a new podcast because we've come to the end of the album ones, and I'd made those a year ago. That was my first attempt. And yes, if you've listened to them, it is a bit rambly. But I think that was the idea of it. I'm just taking the mick. But now I thought I'd better explain it after 10, because I think there's been 3 or 4 people that have actually listened to them. So if you're one of those people that have listened to that rubbish before, this is what this podcast here is for, is to explain myself and apologise. So this is it. So basically, Urban Shark was born. And I used Urban Shark because in the same reason I used it back then in the 90s. So people didn't know that it was me making this crap. And in the beginning, the stuff I made was really crap. It isn't actually on this channel. It was on something else I released, and weirdly it got a few views, got more views than I get now. But I mean, this was a long time ago, so it was about 4 years ago. And I got quite a few views. This was before, other outlets for music. Was I think Spotify now takes anybody or whatever. So they were, people just went to YouTube, but it was rubbish. I mean, at the time I thought, oh, this is quite good, but no, it was rubbish. So I'd made about 50 tunes back then, teaching myself how to use the DAW, and I thought they were quite good. I mean, I'd listen to them, and it's all relative. I thought they were good, and it's all relative. Well, I hadn't any idea how to make a tune before, and then I started making things that had a beat and a little bit of a rhythm and a melody. So it was all relative, because my relatives told me they were crap. So I sort of drew a line under that. So I sort of started again, and with a little bit of understanding now of how to use the software, the DAW. So these things themselves, if you've never used one before, obviously it's like anything. It's massive. You're overwhelmed by all of the things it can do. I mean, I can use Logic Pro quite well now, but I'm only touching the surface on it. I mean, I'm learning things every day I use it, and I still don't understand what half of it does, and even half of what I understand, I don't know really what I'm doing. I just know that it does this, but I don't really know why it's doing that, if you know what I mean. It's pretty much like having a girlfriend. You sort of do something, and if you don't get your head bitten off, you think, okay, that worked, but I don't know why. I'll just keep doing it until it doesn't. So I've now got a bit of an idea on how to use the DAW. Now, the DAW is like, if you look at it, it's a place where you can put your music together. So you've got music making things inside the DAW, and these are soft synths, so not real synths. So they're software synths. So they're inside the computer. They're not physical things. And they have got more knobs than a gay nightclub. There are so many knobs to twiddle, again, like a gay nightclub. I know because I've been to gay nightclubs. As a DJ, some of the best nights you'll ever do is in gay clubs. But you tend to go as a straight person to gay clubs on invitations, so they'll have sort of mixed nights where they know that they're straight people. And they're great fun, they're really good. And if you get to go to one of those, it's great. So as I said, I made about 50 tunes teaching myself to use the DAW. So I got to the point where I thought I'd better start to have a look at some sort of music knowledge, So armed with this knowledge of how to use a DAW, I created madeUpmusic, the channel that you're now on, and started the House Share album. I was looking at sort of chord progressions and how they worked, and so I started to get a bit of an idea on how chords worked, and it was important to have a channel. So madeUpmusic was important to the experiment because I needed to see if people liked the tunes I was creating. Remember, I have no music talent, and I was trying to myth bust. I was trying to see if I could make a tune and people would just like it with no knowledge. In some respects, there was one person who thought one of the tunes I made was awesome. They actually left a comment. So, God knows what happened there. Because when you look back, I didn't even have the slightest clue of mixing down. So all those early tunes are so muddy. They're so hard to listen to, and so I don't really see that was proving the point, because they're not that good. They're not good. They certainly weren't taken up by a load of people. It didn't, I mean, some of them did
get like 100 views, but I mean that was, I think that was part of the time. It wasn't so many other online outlets as there was now, so can't take credit for that. But they certainly didn't go into the thousands, which is what I would consider a successful tune. I mean, as you can see on the channel now, I think there's one tune with about 500 views, but most are under 20 views, I think. Oh no, there are a few 60s and 70s and hundreds, but not many. I think some of the ones that are sitting around waiting to go on there might get better views. I mean, some of them I think are quite nice, and some are still very old, and I'm not sure. I'll just be putting them up as clickbait, really, or just content, because you never know. I mean, I don't know if they're any good. That's the whole point of the experiment, to see if other people want to listen to them. By the way, I'm just saying that at this point in time now, this is present day, so a lot of the other stuff that has been going up is quite old, so it's like at least 6 months old. I think the House Share album realistically is getting on for a year old. The previous podcasts were a year old, so I'm at the stage now where I am trying to do sound design. So I'm going to, throughout this, I'm going to play little bits of music in between things. It's one tune, and it's the tune I'm working on at the moment, and the sounds in it are sounds that I've designed myself. So I've twiddled the knobs to make the sound, trying out the soft synths that basically I was just explaining is how you get the noise out of them, and they are quite complicated to learn. And again, there are some people, I mean, the amount of knobs and things you can adjust to make the sound make a different sound is just overwhelming. There's hundreds of them, some people, they just know that they're going to make a sound by doing this. It's a talent. So that's where madeUpmusic came from, and that was the whole point of the house music album, was to help blow this myth. Now, on the house music album, there's a couple of tunes that I think are reasonably good, and I think now, with the knowledge of a year, if I went back and rearranged them, they might even be better. Than, to be fair, all of them could benefit from being rearranged, because that's another thing I've learned. It's not just the music that's important. It's not just the tune. It's the rhythm and the way the transitions happen. When you move from one bit to another, the drops and the rises, if you can making each section slightly different to keep the listener interested. So this is something I thought I was doing back then, but realise there's more to be done. And that in itself is tricky. Those little transitions, those little rewinds or high pitchings or whatever, those are all quite technical to do, and you have to have an idea of that. So I started again. With a little bit of understanding using the DAW and with some simple music theory. I started to understand some of the chords and the chord progressions. I mean, recently now, as I say, some of the later stuff, some of the things that go up only like 6 months old. Occasionally I put something up that's only a few months old, and I got to the point where I started to learn sort of about how notes fit together. So there's simple ways of looking about how notes fit together. You've got your root note and your thirds and your fifths and your sevenths and your sixths. It just goes on. So they're starting to get a little bit more. Whereas before I was doing it just by feel, now I'm trying to do it as you should, which is like sometimes taking the fun out of it. I think I should just bash around like a monkey with a typewriter and see what happens. Sometimes something good happens and sometimes it doesn't. So I started again. Armed with that knowledge, as I said, I created the channel madeUpmusic, basically started uploading the album and the podcast really with it, just to see if people were watching the two things and sort of getting the idea of what I was trying to do. With the album, I tried to do a lot of different types of house. So there's melodic house, there's sort of progressive house, there's deep house, there's uplifting house, there's slower and faster tempos. Just as I say, to make sure it was a well-rounded experiment. So what did I learn? Because 20 tracks, that's quite a lot. The important thing I think I learned is that the myth might not be true. And also, podcasts are hard to make when you're on your own with no one else to bounce off. It's quite a tricky thing to do, but I think if I keep trying, I'll get better. I think if I choose subjects that I'm thinking of doing some subjects about some of the old legal raves I've done in Glastonbury in the early days, some music events, because I think that might be interesting for people, to reminisce about some of those things. So anyway, I digress again. I'm doing it again. So back to the experiment. Did it work? Did I make an EDM dance tune that people liked without any music training? Well, let's think about that. And the answer is, drum roll please here. Oh, see, I can't even do that. No. To be fair, no. I didn't. There is no 1,000 views or people leaving comments underneath and saying like. Well, to be fair, that's not quite true, because one or two did leave the thumbs up thing under some of the tunes. And when I say one or two, I mean one or two. I think there is a tune with 3 likes, and one of those might be me. So, because I did like it. And to be fair, some were not bad. If they got rearranged a bit, they would probably pass if you were in a club or a rave or something and weren't paying much attention. You'd probably be able to dance along to them. The mixing down, the engineering is something that's I'm finding tricky, because it's, you don't get many people really explaining what it is. They seem to assume everybody knows what it is, but it's basically balancing all the layers, the instruments together, and making sure their frequencies don't clash. And I don't know, I wasn't very good at maths, so frequencies sound like that to me. Anyway, what did I learn? I learned that people who say they have no training and go on to make tunes are not telling the whole truth. So these successful producers that say, oh well, I just had to go and I went to number 1 10 times. Yes, they're probably right in what they're saying. Why? Because they have something that they might not even realise that they have. And it's, of course, talent. That thing, when you haven't got it and you see someone with it, you know you haven't got it. You know it's different. And all the people I've ever met who have a talent for something never seem to recognise they have that talent. They're always very hard on themselves, and it's heartbreaking. I remember a fella that I used to know who could play basically any instrument you put in his lap. He'd plonk about with it for literally a minute, and then next thing you know, he's got a tune coming out of it. And you could never get him to play anything. There was, no one wants to listen to me. No. And it was just brilliant, but he just didn't believe he had the talent. So some people in music can just feel it, and others just do it. You might be able to play an instrument really well, but you have no feel for creating music. I mean, on this journey, I've seen people who can play instruments really well, and you think, well, why aren't they making great tunes? But then you've got other people like Deadmau5 or Vici, or these famous people that just make these tunes, and there's just something special about them. They can just feel the music, they can just see it like the matrix around them, whereas other people, they might be able to play really well, but they don't seem to be able to hit that special place where these things get made. So the house album is about a year old, and I've moved on with my understanding. I have uploaded other tunes as I go, which are newer than the house album, and that I've tried different genres. I really like trance, so I try trance, but flipping heck, a producer friend of mine said, well, you're picking something hard to start on, and to get a really nice trance tune, again, you need to really know what you're doing with your engineering and your sound design. I don't have money to spend on the synths and the sample packs to get the vocals. I don't have money to pay for singers or anything like that. It was just a bit of fun and experiment, something to keep me busy and to see if I could do. Cool, I can imagine if you made a tune that was really well liked. That's probably a really nice feeling. So really, I just use what's in the DAW I have, and the DAW I have is Logic Pro. So I've used all of the vocals that came with that already. Yeah, this makes it hard to find new sounds, because I mean I've used all the best sounds, so it's hard now to find a sound I haven't already used. And I come from a time when originality was respected, and you sought to pave your own way and create something yourself. It wouldn't be a true experiment if I hadn't made everything myself. I mean, it would be pointless. I mean, yes, there's loops. Loops are basically like things that some other musician has made, like a drum beats with with all the drum kit in it, and you can just drop that in. Then you can drop the synth with a rhythm on it, and you can put other things on it. You can make a song up like that. But then, is it your song? I mean, yes, you can chop the loop up a bit and change it around, but again, I kind of think, I mean, it depends. If you're chopping it up just to get the sound, I suppose, yes, it is your sound, your tune. But if you're using any of their rhythm or anything like that, and I know a lot of the famous songs have got loops in and things from other people, I mean, which I struggle with because I still think they're great tunes and I'm glad they exist. But whose are they is the thing. My point isn't to try and make a nice sounding tune. I'm trying to make a nice sounding tune by someone who doesn't know what they're doing, to break that myth. So I'm nearly 3 years into trying to create a dance tune with no training or skill that people will like, to see if the myth is correct. So I'm 3 years in, so I'm already thinking the myth is not correct. At this point, I would say that through the, I've seen people who are far more talented than I am creating music, and it's not in the mainstream. I mean, they're doing dance tunes that I would die for to be able to create, and you've never heard of it, you've never heard of them. And I just think, God, in my best day, I'm not going to be as good as them. So it's a funny old world, music world, that's for sure. Which brings me back to what I believe I've discovered. Talent and luck is more important than ability. And don't forget, we make our own luck. I'm not trying to belittle anyone who's made a hit tune. I'm just saying that there's something different about these people, because I have met and seen people who can create what I consider a really good tune. They know how to do all the mixing down, all the tweaky stuff, but there's just something that is just not there that the Dead Mouses of this world put in, or the Aviciis put in. Don't know what it is. It's obviously a bit of their talent, a bit of their luck. I've just started looking into sound design. Is my first attempt at the engineering side of music, so which is something most of us never think about. And we should. It's so important and massive and hard. We should have a lot of respect for these people who create these sounds and these engineers that fit them all together. They're on every record you've ever heard. Someone has made it fit together right. So I leave you with my first attempt at creating my own sounds and using them in a tune, which is about to come up. Oh yeah, this tune isn't finished. I'm in the process of trying to learn to be more professional about my writing technique, just to see. I'm still not taking any training. I'm getting tips and things off people, but there's no training. I'm trying to see if just by accident I can make something that is like something you might hear on the radio. That would be let's say get 1,000 views with people saying nice things about it, because it's not just about views, because someone could just click on it and not like it. And then we'll be able to say, okay, an idiot can make one. But at this point, he was 3 years in. It's not like I just switched it on and made it over the weekend and everyone liked it, though probably a talented blooming person could. So whereas before I was doing what felt right, I'm now trying to create the way the industry expects these tunes to be laid out and made. Not sure it's working out for me. See what you think. I kind of just liked the way I was doing it before, but that clearly wasn't working, because I had no comments about, oh, that's good, it's changed my life, I love it. Oh. Here is the tune. It doesn't have a name yet. It's just saved as Project House. Told you I'm not good with making up names for these tunes. I mean, if you've followed the other podcasts, you'll know that, and if you've seen the names of the tunes in the House Share album, which is kind of why it's called the House Share, because everything's called something house or house something, because I just couldn't think of names for them. And yeah, so here's that tune. And for those of you who've stuck with me through this, thanks. And hey, why didn't you leave a comment, bro? I would have loved the company. It's lonely here in the shed. I mean, the studio in Las Vegas, you know. No, is that where they have? Anyway, wherever studios go. Anyway, thanks for sticking with it. I hopefully will do some more stuff. I'm obviously when I'm uploading something today, I will upload the things that are sitting around as we go, and I'm continuing to see if I can create something. And I don't think I'll ever really finish this tune. This is like a lesson, but see what you think, because if you have been listening to the old album and the other things I'm doing, see where I'm getting, see if it's improving. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.